Hello. This short lecture or video will just walk very briefly through what we call the HBAT, HBAT data set. So this is the data set that's provided by the textbook, and so many of the examples in the textbook use this data set. And so this will be an illustrative data set that we use for class lectures, and the data set that we can access very easily and is available to us. So the primary data set and the HBAT company is actually called HBAT Industries, and they are a manufacturer of paper products. So their customers would be other companies that would use paper products in their manufacturing process or in other aspects of their business. So this particular data set was drawn from HBAT Industries customers, primarily the purchasing managers for their customers, which would be at other companies. The actual data sets that we have, there are several. The primary data set has 100, it has a sample size of 100. So there are a number of different analyses we can do with that one data set. The HBAT 200 is an expanded data set, which instead of 100 respondents has 200 respondents. And so when sample size matters, and in particular when it matters doing certain data analyses that require a lot of computation, we'll need a larger sample size. There are also other data sets, for instance listed here is the HBAT missing data set, which is one where we can walk through some illustrations of how to handle missing data. Okay, so there are a number of different sets here, all associated with this one company, all based off of the same survey. So again, the survey itself has a series of different questions associated with it. With the regular HBAT data set, it's just the first 18 variables, which would be X1 through 18, and then there are some additional variables for other analyses as well. So one thing you'll notice with the data set is that some of the variables are called non-metric and some of them are called metric. When we think about non-metric and metric, we want to think about the way the data is represented and basically the format of the numbers that the data has. So when we have metric data, we typically think of metric data as having an infinite number of possibilities or options, if you will, and one that can be rational data, rational numbers or ratio data. So it'd be non-categorical. When we talk about non-metric, then we're talking about data that is like numerically countable. Like, so for instance, gender. If we use gender as a variable, it would be thought of as non-metric because you'd either have men or women, or you may have a category that is like prefers not to answer or something like that. But it's not like there's an infinite number of solutions or acceptable responses. There's only a few, and they're identifiable, and they tend to be mutually exclusive, but not always. And so like customer type here, in this particular data set, customer type refers to how long a customer has been with HBAT. And in the data set, there'll either be a 1, 2, or a 3 for variable 1 customer type. If it's a 1, it means the customer's been with them for less than a year. If it's a 2, they've been with them with HBAT for 1 to 5 years. And then if it's a 3, it means that the customer's been with them for more than 5 years. So that'd be categorical data, and it'd be something we'd refer to as non-metric. The metric data may refer to scales. or something that would involve averages or other number types. Okay, so the textbook actually walks through the um, the different possibilities or the different definitions of the data. One of the things we'll talk about at some point in the term will be a data code book. And so ideally, whenever you have a data set, you want to be able to have a written document that corresponds with the actual spreadsheet of data. And the correspondence describes like what each variable is. It defines each variable and talks about how the data was collected and the different elements and nuances of the data. So specifically, you'd want to know, like for instance, product quality, X6. That is the perceived level of quality of HBAT's paper products, and that's the actual like question that the customer was asked to respond to, and then they were going to rate the HBAT industries as performing either poor on one end of the scale to excellent on the other. And this data, this X6 for instance, is actually scaled on a 10-point scale. So poor would be a 0 or a 1, and then excellent would be like a 9 or a 10 on that particular scale. So, so again, this is an example of a data set. It's one that we'll be using a lot. It's outlined in the text quite a bit. There are many, many examples in the text that use it. And we'll also see it over and over again. Now, other data sets will also emerge, and when they do, we want to take the same type of approach where we want to ask what the type of data it is, what the type each variable is, and then we also want to know specifically what was being asked when the question was asked to the respondents. So we have the variable, the label name, we have a description of the variable, we have a description of the data, and then we can go and move forward in understanding and analyzing the data set. Okay, so that concludes this short little bit on the HBAT data set, and again, we'll be using this and coming back to this data set a lot as the term goes on.